Last month, 2 US hostages were beheaded in front of video cameras. The gruesome images sent around the world. Tonight, Kenneth Bigley, the Briton who was abducted with the 2 Americans, continues his long wait to see if he'll suffer the same fate. His life appears to lie in the hands of one man, the man who's said to run the biggest terror network in Iraq, a 37-year-old Jordanian called Abu Musab al-Zarqawi.
My name is Kenneth John Bigley.
Tonight, the fate of Kenneth Bigley is unknown. The man in the middle doing the talking is allegedly Abu Musab al-Zarqawi, who intelligence experts say personally beheaded Eugene Armstrong the same way he beheaded Nicholas Berg nearly 5 months ago. Zarqawi heads al-Tawhid wal-Jihad, a terrorist organization alleged to be behind much of the increasing violence in Iraq. Few people had heard of the group, and almost no one had heard its leader speak until last April, when Zarqawi released an audio tape urging his Mujahideen fighters in Iraq to battle in a holy war.
Mujahideen, get your swords ready and burn the ground under the feet of the occupiers. The war has started and its fire is burning.
Zarqawi's war has been raging in Iraq for over a year now. In August 2003, he was linked to a car bomb attack on the Jordanian embassy. And he took responsibility for the bombing of the United Nations office in Baghdad less than 2 weeks later.
Move! Back up!
Zarqawi's suicide bombers struck this shrine holy to Shiites who are included on his list of enemies. Also on his list are the Iraqi police. In conducting his holy war, Zarqawi has become the new face and rising star of international terrorism. His bloody resume in this dark world began not in Iraq, but in the country where he was born, in Jordan. This is where he's from and where he gets his name. The city of Zarqa, home to about 1 million people, just northeast of the capital of Amman. He was born here as Ahmed Halayla, but in his 20s, like so many other Arabs, he followed the call of jihad to Afghanistan to fight the Russians. It was there that religion became such a major force in his life. It was there that he learned the tools of terrorism. And it was there that he became known as Abu Musab al-Zarqawi. It was also where he met Saleh Ilhami, who covered the war as a journalist. For a while, Zarqawi also worked as a journalist, but most of his time was spent fighting the Russians. Ilhami says that his friend once told him about a dream he had, about a sword falling from the sky, with a verse from the Quran written on it.
On one of the sides it was written, "You shall have the upper hand if you are believers." On the other side was written the word jihad.
And what did he take that to mean?
It was a type of prophecy, a vision, that in the future he will become a great man.
Zarqawi and Ilhami became so close that Zarqawi offered him his sister's hand in marriage. This video of Zarqawi at the wedding is the only footage of him known to exist. A year after the wedding, he returned home to Jordan, got involved in radical Islamic politics, was arrested for illegal possession of explosives, and sentenced to prison. That's where he met Laith Shabelat, who told us that, in his opinion, Zarqawi was extremely intolerant. His opinion also of President Bush.
Like what Bush means when he says you're either with me or with bin Laden. Both sides think with the same logic. You either agree with me totally, or else you're with the enemy. There is no gray area.
So you saw a gray area.
All people, all sane people in the world live in the gray area. That's where we meet. But if I think that you are black and I am white, and I apply to you my norms, and you don't fit in my norms, automatically you become an enemy.
The man that you met in prison, do you think he's capable of the violence that's been attributed to him?
Yes.
In 1999, when King Abdullah came to power, Zarqawi, along with hundreds of other prisoners, was released in a royal amnesty. Uraib al-Rantawi says Zarqawi left prison a changed man.
I think his whole career as a leader of a terrorist group, as a part of an extremist fundamentalist group, was created in the jail.
Rantawi heads a research institute in Amman that tracks radical Islamic movements. He says that from Jordan, Zarqawi went to Pakistan and Afghanistan, where he trained with Al-Qaeda, and then set up his own training camp.
He created his own organization, which is a part of the international umbrella of Al-Qaeda.
But he runs that.
He has his own organization.
He used his organization to launch his own career as a terrorist, which began with a series of planned attacks back home in Jordan. In addition to the allegations against Zarqawi in Iraq, there is a substantial case against him here in Jordan. He was tried in absentia, convicted and sentenced to death for the murder of an American diplomat here in Amman. In another trial, he received a 15-year sentence for plotting to use explosives against American and Israeli tourists who were here for the millennium. Then in April, authorities here say they uncovered a Zarqawi plot to destroy the headquarters of Jordan's intelligence agency.
Zarqawi now is the most hated, the most wanted person in Iraq.
Muwafaq al-Rabai is the national security advisor to Iraq's interim government. Via satellite from Baghdad, he told us that Zarqawi's strategy boils down to one tactic.
This man, I believe, he's a serial killer. I believe he's a sociopath bordering to a psychopath in a massive killing. And he is a criminal before he adopted superficially he adopted Islam, and to justify his act of killing and his act of terror. So this man is capable of doing everything. What sort of Islam is this? This is total deviation from true Islam. Islam is all about mercy, is all about love, is all about peace, is all about submission to God. Zarqawi has submitted himself to Satan, to the devil.
And there's no better example of that than the video of the execution of Nicholas Berg, which begins with these words written in Arabic: Abu Musab al-Zarqawi slaughters an American. Zarqawi's base of operations is said to be Fallujah, about 40 miles west of Baghdad. When U.S. forces pulled out of the city last April, rebel troops moved in. Estimates of the number of fighters Zarqawi controls range from hundreds to thousands. Is he an independent operator, or is he tied to Al-Qaeda?
On the operational level, he may well be acting independently, but on a strategic and policy-making level, he may well coordinate with the rest of Al-Qaeda and the global network of terror in the world.
Capturing or killing Zarqawi has become a top priority for U.S. and Iraqi forces. On several occasions, according to Rubai, they were close, but Zarqawi managed to escape. Then why is it so difficult to capture him when you've got so many American coalition forces looking for him, so many Iraqi policemen looking for him, and after all, this is a man with a $25 million price tag on his head?
This is not a conventional war. This is a very unconventional war. This is an intelligence-led war.
And so far, the intelligence has not been good enough to find him. American airstrikes on alleged Zarqawi safe houses in Fallujah this week reportedly killed a number of his top lieutenants and numerous innocent Iraqis. With so many attacks attributed to just one man and his followers, Abu Musab al-Zarqawi has become a mythical figure. Arabs speculate that the Bush administration has exaggerated his connection to al-Qaeda to justify that the war in Iraq is part of the war on terror. National Security Advisor Rubai says that is nonsense.
Somebody is killing these policemen. Somebody is killing these new Iraqi army recruits. Somebody is doing these explosions all over the country. Somebody is doing these suicide bombers. And there are a lot of fingerprints and blueprints of Zarqawi in these crimes.